I'm Holly Constant.
And I'm Maddie Hockaday. We really love Parks and Rec, and we really love behind-the-scenes details.
So we're researching everything from DVD extras like deleted scenes and commentaries,
plus interviewing cast and crew who actually worked on the show.
We also bring on guests and friends to geek out about everything parks.
So join us, you tropical fish.
This is literally the best Parks and Rec rewatch podcast.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Okay, here we are. This is Jerry's painting. I was saying a little bit before we got on mic that I felt like every time, I don't know if it's because we're in the middle of like the, peak Parks and Rec time, but every time I don't think it's going to be like so many notes. And I know I have a lot of notes, so like whatever, but I just don't ever expect it to be as like detailed and long notes as I do. So we have a lot to get to. I have a bit of a recap moment from last time. So last time in Soulmates, I said that April was reading a magazine called Prisons, and then I went back and watched it, and it was actually Persons. It says Persons on the magazine, not Prisons.
That's less depressing.
Yeah, the way that the graphic was kind of
that checks out.
Yeah. But anyway, the reason I know that is because I went back to see, because you had asked what was Chris buying at Grain and Simple, like it looked like grass, and it's definitely wheatgrass.
Thing? Yeah.
It's totally like, because it's in that little like square thing. So yes, Persons magazine, and Chris was buying wheatgrass, which I don't know that he used in his burger, but I think he just was probably having it for his own life reasons.
Yes.
So, and then the other thing that I looked up was the Hoosier meaning that I texted you about, but I just wanted to share that. So it's actually a term that means, because last episode there was HoosierMate.com for dating, for the dating sites in Indiana. But so Hoosier is a term that means like redneck/countryman, and it's derived from a Native American term, Hoosa. Hoosa. Apparently there's like a number of thoughts on this of how this kind of came to be used forever, but history.com and Wikipedia agree that those are like the main, that's like the main origin of it. But apparently it was kind of like a bad slang, kind of like you would use Yankee badly, but then they kind of like took it back almost, if that makes sense. So anyway, and then, so that's Hoosier. So if anyone was curious.
Which I loved hearing that this week because I lived in the Midwest for so long and feel like I never knew that.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a common knowledge thing. It's one of those things that I feel like you just accept and then you don't really care how it came to be.
Yeah.
Which is one of the great things about this podcast, that we just learned so much.
Amen.
Okay, and then Greg Dorellian, the businessman, he did message me back on Instagram, and he said, well, I asked him if he had any other like memories, but and he saw it, but apparently he didn't message back, but he did say, I said, do you have any memories of being on set? And he said, I think I was checked in at 7 a.m. for hair and makeup, rehearsed at 8:30 and wrapped by 9:45. So super, super short. Obviously it was a super short thing, but it's just funny. He says efficient to say the least. But then he said, but yeah, I have a whole backstory as to how that gig even landed in my lap. And then I said, that's so cool. Tell me. And he didn't message back. So I got to message him again.
Remind me who this is.
Greg Dorellian, the businessman that kisses Anne, that drops her off.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The one that's wearing a suit.
Yeah. Yes. The one that was clearly a businessman.
Right.
Not the jock guy.
Right. Correct. But he said it was one of the fastest TV gigs that he ever did, and that's the one I'm recognized the most for, Psy, because I think he's had longer, scenes in other shows. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to leave this up so that I remind myself to message him back because I want to know how he got the gig. Don't tell me that you have a whole crazy backstory and don't tell it to me.
Yeah, well, I think it's really cool too because I feel like everybody we've talked to has had kind of a different story of how they came on Parks and Rec, like they knew someone or they just had a regular audition or whatever. Right. So it's cool.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so that is the end of my recap. Now we are in Jerry's Painting, Season 3, Episode 11, directed by our guy, Dean Holland. Love, love, love. Written by Norm Hiscock, who was in one of the, I can't remember. Yes, I can. He was in the Wall of Men in the black and white photos that Leslie stands next to. And like one is always following her.
Yes.
You know,
her boobs. Yeah.
Yes. I don't think that was Norm's picture. Maybe it was, but Norm is he's not the one with the glasses. And I think she's saying that the one with the glasses is the one that's always following
you're
her.
right. You're right. Yeah.
But it's really funny. But we've heard both of these names before. They're obviously like legendary in Parks and Rec and The Office, so we can go ahead and get into some notes. Just before we start, I wanted to say that the original airing was apparently 10 minutes longer because of the extended version of The Office.
Yeah.
And Steve Carell was like leaving.
It was Michael's goodbye that aired right before.
And it's really sad because apparently there was a drop in viewers. So like The Office did not help Parks. Which I thought that it would.
I would think that it would too. I mean, although if you think about it, if you're watching The Office for the first time through its airing, right? You're emotional that Steve Carell's leaving. And maybe you kind of just like, I don't know if other people get as emotional about TV as I do, but like, I needed to take a break from The Office after I watched that episode. I needed to just sit down and sit with my feelings. And I feel like that could be why people didn't stay tuned for the rest of Parks and Rec. Do we think that that's typically what was happening? Because this is because I found that note as well. I had that written down, and I thought it was interesting. I didn't know if Parks was always following The Office or if this was just like a special thing. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think it was. And I mean, I don't think The Office really helped Parks just in general because Parks was so new, and putting it right on, I feel, and maybe I'm crazy, I don't know, but I feel like putting Parks, a new show, right after The Office, when people are expecting The Office, if that makes sense, from another Mike Schur show, they're like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, I think it was always that way because it was like NBC. I don't know if they still do it now, but it was a whole huge like promotional branding thing that they had where it was like NBC Thursdays or like Comedy Thursdays or whatever.
Right.
You know, and like 30 Rock, I think, was part of that as well. But yeah, crazy.
Okay. Cool. I had an additional note, which I had to look up a lot of stuff after this because not only did this episode run longer than usual because of that episode, it also aired on a different day in Guam, it looks like.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, because of the royal wedding, which I thought that isn't Guam a U.S. territory? So why are we so... I just was like, I wonder why they felt they had to prioritize the royal wedding. Although I guess it's the royal wedding. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like they probably have their own like culture about it because we're not really that involved, I feel. So they probably have, I mean, maybe we are more than I think, but I feel like we're not. I feel like Guam is similar, and maybe I'll get hate for this, but I feel like Guam is similar to Puerto Rico where we own them, but we don't really do much with them.
Yeah. Fair.
You know, and that's not great, but you know what I mean? So like they have their own kind of thing. But yeah, that is interesting. So
yeah, I remember the royal wedding.
Big deal.
So yeah. Interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. So the props department I could not find, but I just want to, like, I couldn't find who made these paintings. I was just like so flabbergasted by how beautiful and perfect and wonderful they were. So hopefully someone, I don't know, maybe I'll reach out to some other crew members and see who exactly was responsible for this, because I don't know if it was like actually painted or if it was like a picture that was made on some software and then they printed it to look like a painting. Like, I don't know. So I'm really intrigued. Okay, so now I have summary written, so I'm ready whenever you are.
Perfect. This week on Parks and Rec, Ben moves in with Andy and April and has to teach them the wonders of adulting. Leslie is nursing her heartache of not being able to date Ben, and Jerry paints a risque piece of art for the community art show that he unconsciously includes Leslie and Tom in. Leslie gains confidence from this painting and fights for the risque painting to stay alive.
Yay! Oh my gosh, this painting is so good. I love it so much.
It's beautiful. Like, I feel like people do not give, and I know Jerry's not actually painting it, but I feel like people do not give Jerry his, like, enough credit.
Yeah,
for his or work, because isn't it when the government opens back up again and she goes and she finds Jerry in nature and he has this beautiful painting he's working on?
Yes.
And it's like, guys, he's so good at this. Like, I would buy those painting. He's so good.
I feel like it's kind of a joke though for Jerry, for sure, that like he's the most talented one in the office. Like, he plays piano beautifully. He is a great painter. He like started this blog in the deleted scene that we learned from last time, like super innovative. He's a great cook, apparently, according to his family. But like, no one cares.
Yeah, no one cares. And it's almost like they're like the boring talents, right? He's not
right.
Like, you know, and I'm saying this as a musician, like, piano is not boring, but like people look at that like as it's boring. So it's like he's really good at these things that people might not necessarily think are the coolest, I guess.
It's so dumb. People are crazy.
Plus,
also, I mean, to a certain degree, Jerry does like fuck up a lot at work. So it's like there's a weird balance there too. So you're just like, wait, what do I appreciate and what do I not appreciate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
very true.
But yeah, he's a phenomenal painter. And speaking of which, you said that you would buy this. You can if you want to. There are some online, multiple, where nips are also visible.
Okay.
I don't know who like recreated these paintings, but you can buy them if you so choose.
All right. Cool.
And then we have the cold open. So the cold open, Leslie comes into Ben's office and sneaks up on him, makes him hit his head. It looked really hard. I don't know if he hit it or hit his head or if that was just like some great stage combat. I don't know, but I liked it. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was good. And
Ben is so awkward in these next couple episodes. It started last time, but with being awkward and turning Leslie down because of Chris's rule. But it's just like... Oh my God.
It's spiraling
so
because I feel like he still doesn't know how to act around her without flirting almost. And he's like trying.
Yeah, because now they both
very
know.
consciously trying not to.
Yes.
And that's
100%.
what comes across as awkward.
Yes, 1,000%. And they're both being, like you said, so flirty with their hands up on the cabinet, like, and they're just trying to be casual.
Just their posture.
And their whole posture is like mirroring each other almost, which I feel like I don't know if that was direction or they just chose to do that, but like I feel like that's a very common human nature thing of like when you're nervous, you kind of mirror the other person to just kind of like fit in almost or something.
Yeah.
Super cute. I really loved it.
Yeah. It's great.
So Leslie's reminding Ben of the art show at the community center, and Leslie is totally giving him like sexy eyes. Like she kind of like has her head down a little bit, and like if she had glasses, she'd be like peering at him over her glasses.
She's not trying to not flirt.
She's so not subtle.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to still flirt with you and you're going to suck it up and take it. And he's like, I don't know what to do.
And he's like, I will take that. Thank you so much. But I also don't know how to respond.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Chris says there's a lady from the county commissioner office that he wants to set Ben up with, Cindy Miller. Ben is so not happy, and he's so snarky, and I love this. I mean, obviously he's snarky in general, but like it almost seems like a different kind of snarky because like now Leslie's present, and he was like, oh, you asked her out for me. Cool. Yeah. And that goes right over Chris's head. Chris is like, yeah, I love it. It's great.
I cannot stand Chris in this moment. Because I put myself in Ben's shoes and I would be pissed off.
Yeah.
Because like, I know that they're best friends and I know like Ben probably has some sort of trust in Chris, just like I would trust you to set me up on a blind date. Right. But it's like just the calling her
in front of him.
In front of Leslie too.
Yes. And no plan. Just like, this is the decision that I've made and you're just going to go with it.
Yeah. Rather than, hey, I have this girl that I think that you would get along with really well. Here's her number. Yeah. Right? That's a totally different conversation than what happens here.
And again, it's just like Chris is so oblivious. It goes right over his head. He thinks that he's doing something so nice and kind and fun and whatever. And Ben's going to be so happy about this. But he doesn't really take into consideration Ben's feelings like at all.
Well, and I feel like he is not reading social cues at all.
No.
Because you can tell that Ben's uncomfortable with this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was really, I said the same thing that Leslie says where or I was thinking the same thing where she's like, I thought you couldn't date people in the office. And he, explains that Cindy's in a completely different department. So it's like no conflict of interest at all, but it's still super awkward. Cindy sounds like a good sport and her voice sounded really familiar on the phone, but I never can find who's on the phone or like who does the voiceover. And I don't know why they're not credited. They should be credited on IMDb.
Should be.
It's ridiculous, but whatever.
The only thing I can think of is it's like one of the crew members and they were like, we're just doing it on the other end.
It really could have been. Who knows?
But yeah, I love Chris's callback to this is nothing like your relationship with Tom Haverford.
Right. Oh my God.
Which is keeping the consistency in the storyline like we were talking about last episode. That last episode kind of kickstarts us seeing more linkage between episodes and going full swing that way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I also love that Cindy is kind of like, she's a good sport, but she also is I think she feels very similar to Ben because she says it's just Chris being Chris. And she almost has like a, not snarky at all, but more of like a, oh God, this is awkward type of tone to her voice. And I love that so much. And I hate that Chris, like you said, in this moment, Chris is just so annoying where he's like egging Ben on to like start talking and like moves his hand in the talking fashion signal thing.
Sparks
I'm
are
just like,
flying.
Stop it. Oh, sparks are flying. So dumb.
Yeah. I have a...
And then he has that... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think when we get to a point where we feel like Leslie is a steamroller, this is Chris to me right now. I feel like he is steamrolling Ben.
Yes.
And I feel like he means well. Just like I feel like Leslie always means well. Her heart's in the right place. His heart is in the right place. And he's just not handling it appropriately. And it's uncomfortable for me. I would be really frustrated.
It totally is uncomfortable both watching it and like imagining yourself in that situation, which I guess is the same thing kind of.
Yeah. Well, and
God.
Leslie. Think of being Leslie. Like you have this crush on Ben and you've been flirting with him like 20 seconds ago. And now you have to listen to him ask a girl out on the phone.
Yeah.
It's so awkward.
Totally. And I guess I would feel like a little bit better because he clearly doesn't want to.
Very true.
And so I hope Leslie sees that. But I also think it's really funny that Chris thinks that he is like this brilliant matchmaker and all he is saying is like the same thing that literally everyone would do with matchmaking, finding people with similar qualities, the end. It's so annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway.
Oh, Christopher.
Okay. Well, now I'm at where Anne and Leslie are in Leslie's office, like talking about this whole situation. Do you have anything before that?
No, I do not. Okay. But I do have thoughts on this as well.
Okay, go ahead.
I feel like we're seeing a completely different Anne here.
Oh, yeah. I know. She's definitely changing. And
yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because she's like, do you want me to get you Paxil? That'll make you feel better. I'm like, Anne, girl,
what the hell?
Medication, first of all, a prescribed controlled substance medication is not the answer here. And Paxil, just in case people don't know, is an antidepressant or it also helps with panic attacks. Feeling like Leslie isn't she's in a depressed mood, right? But that's different than experiencing depression.
Right.
So I feel like if she took that medication, she would be a little fucked up in the head.
Right. And like so many people do this, I think. Just like when they're feeling poorly, they'll, be prescribed an antidepressant. But it's funny that it's the complete opposite because Anne is, Leslie's really bummed and Anne's like, it would make you feel better. And Leslie's like, a hug?
Yeah.
She's like, no, Paxil.
I'm like, Anne, just give her the hug, man.
Right. But also it's just hilarious too because, again, we're kind of building on, is Anne a good nurse?
Yeah. Good point. That's a great point. Yeah. Okay. Because
last time we were like, she was so not medically professional with bringing in the cholesterol test.
Thing? Yeah.
And
oh my gosh, that's a great point. That totally. I did have written down like super illegal. First of all, she's a nurse. She can't prescribe medication. So she would have to go to Dr. Harris and have him prescribe the medication. And I just feel like this is super illegal. Like, you should not be doing this. She could probably lose her nursing certificate for this.
Right.
So PSA, don't ask your nursing friends to prescribe you shit.
Oh my God. It's so funny to me. But yeah, so that, I guess Anne thinks, just like Chris thinks, that they're doing the right things.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. But also, Leslie said, like, she literally, without saying, can I have a hug, basically said a hug would make me feel better. And
right. Exactly.
Anne's like, let me pop you some pills real quick instead.
Oh my God. So funny.
Oh gosh.
And then Leslie says that she feels really powerless, Anne says that technically because Anne finishes her sentence, and she says she feels like the flickering light bulb that's up top, that she just can't make out with the light bulb that she really wants to make out with.
Yeah. And it's a great setting, a setup for later in the episode.
Yeah, it's great. Oh my gosh, that writing is really lovely that it comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this this next scene is the start of my never-ending question, which I don't know how you feel about this. And I feel like we talked about it before, but it's my never-ending question of what the F, because Ben is asking to be a roommate to somebody, and I'm just like, Ben, you don't need a roommate. You have a full-time job. You are an accountant. You do not need a roommate in Pawnee where the rent is cheaper. What are you doing?
Right, because he probably lived by himself in Indianapolis, no?
I guess. I don't know. We never talked about it, but it's just like so weird and strange to me. Alan Yang did say that like this was probably a writer's kind of like vibe of how to bring the characters together, kind of like a technique of like, how do we keep these characters involved with each other's stories kind of thing. And he thought it was kind of ridiculous, but still funny. And I'm just like, especially with Annie and April, and as the episode goes on, you're just like, baby, get out of there.
Yeah, it's not great. The only psychological reason psychoanalytical reason I can think of is Ben chose to stay in Pawnee for Leslie, and he no longer can date Leslie. Like he knows now he can't pursue that relationship. So I wonder if he's keeping things consistently temporary for himself. So he doesn't want to put a down payment on a house, or he doesn't want to sign a lease where he can't get out of it because I feel like Leslie was the driving force to keep him in Pawnee, and now that she's unattainable in a sense, I wonder if I'm just trying to like add some
make it
understanding.
work.
I'm trying to make it work.
Backstory.
Let's make it work. Tim gun it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, is like, if we really wanted to get down to it, why Ben is looking for a roommate is maybe it's like too permanent for him to put a lease in or something like that.
Woof.
I don't know.
I have a hard time with it every time he talks about it, and every time they're like the entire series too. When they're living together, I'm just like, Ben, what the fuck, bro? Get out. But it's fine, and you'll find some other things too. Or I have a deleted scene for you later that you'll really be like, oh my god, like why? But anyway,
it's
before that though.
I guess we also don't know, because Prescott is tiny. It's tiny. It's really like, it's not a big city. But I, by myself, if I wasn't married and I didn't have roommates, I wouldn't be able to afford an apartment here. And to be fair, it's 2022, right? It's not when this aired. Yeah. But I wonder if that's also the case. We don't know how much he makes. Maybe it's, maybe he can't afford to live by himself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he could. But okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for this episode, even though I'm still judging him.
No, I still want. I'm here to play devil's advocate. I still want to hear the side of what the fuck, and then also the how can we make this work.
Yes, everyone has to have a different opinion to be well-rounded for these shows. Anyway. Yes. So Tom asks, like, how hot is the roommate that's looking for a place, because Ben doesn't say that it's him at first, and he's like, no. Also, this is a little thing, and then we can go back to it, but I feel like Tom's suits, like especially the suit jackets, have been so baggy and big on him lately. I don't know, like his shoulders are really like bulky, and I'm like, you're not that.
More so than usual?
That. Yeah. And so I was like, this is weird for me, because you're like into fashion and whatever. So
yeah, and it doesn't look like Aziz like lost weight or anything in the show.
Right.
You know?
Right. So I don't know. But yeah, so how hot's the roommate? And then Ben has that talking head where he says he's been staying at the Super Suites or the Pawnee Super Suites Motel, and it's been like a really long time, and he hates it because they have random wake-up calls, bad temperatures, and bed bugs. That's
4
bad.
stars, says no one.
Yes.
Love that line.
But I also, I don't know. Okay, I had this like really kind of like weird thought. Not weird, but just like I haven't really thought of it this way. During this talking head, I kind of like, I don't know. I think I came around to why Ben is so necessary in this show. I don't know why it struck me at this point, but like he's really fed up. And at first I was like obviously really annoyed with Ben because he was just so mean in the beginning, you know? And he's kind of a Debbie Downer, maybe a little negative, but then as you see him grow, he kind of grows on you. But especially in this talking head, I feel like he's such a good foil for the other like super positive weird people in the office, especially Leslie, yes, but like everybody else has their own kind of personalities and character development and everything. And I just felt like his kind of not angst, but his kind of like realist down to the point vibe isn't really there in anyone else. And so I thought that it was really nice that that character is there to kind of counteract everyone else's like, you know, personalities and characters.
Yeah, I can see that. When I imagine him with anyone in the show, it's like he does a really great job of balancing everyone out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do a good job of balancing him too, which is so important.
Yeah.
So,
I think the only time we don't necessarily see that, and I think the show plays it off really well, is Ben and Anne don't super have a relationship in this show.
That's true. That's so true.
I know. It's very interesting because it's like, to me, like, I mean, I know you live far away, so it's not like you hang out with Ivan by yourself, but like you guys spent 3 hours in a car together and it was fine. And it was like,
right.
You know, because like I feel like your best friend and your soulmate should like be
Yeah.
able to vibe, you know? And it's like falls flat.
Yeah.
And which I think they played on beautifully later on in the show, where they like have to work together and it's really awkward. But that's the only the only person I really feel like we don't see Ben grow a relationship with.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Interestingly.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. Anyway, I'm excited to see that, like, when she goes to tell him that Leslie's, like, been texting, and, like, she just scrolls on her phone that there's, like, 800,000 messages when Ben won't respond.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, this next scene, do you have anything about the roommate situation before I move on?
No, just Tom being sleazeball Tom.
Sleazy Tom.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. So in this scene, actually before it starts, maybe I should have started with this, but before this scene, you actually get a pan up. So you start at the top of the City Hall, like cupola, whatever it's called, and then you pan down. And something that Alan Yang brought to my attention that I didn't even think about because it was so seamless is that City Hall and that courtyard are on a soundstage. And that Pawnee City Hall is Pasadena City Hall.
Right.
So they edited that. There must have been some kind of discussion of how to edit that together to make everything seem really seamless. Because you don't even really notice it.
No.
And I wouldn't have even thought about it, even though I've watched this episode and I know all of those facts. Like, I would not have even thought to analyze it, but Dean was the director on this one, Dean Holland, who is like a huge editor, huge like visual kind of aesthetically vibing kind of guy. So obviously he probably had something to do with it, maybe. But yeah, I thought that was so interesting because I totally forgot, like, that's not an actual city hall. That's a soundstage.
That's crazy.
And we never really have I mean, I don't remember anyway, but like we don't really do that. We don't usually start at the top and come in. We're usually just like already there because it's a documentary crew. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we get like outside shots, but they never like zoom in or zoom out or go up or down or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. We always get like an establishing shot of, here's the outside of City Hall and then we're going to move inside, but it's like cut so that it's like two different places. But it's really interesting. A cool little factoid, I feel.
Dean trying to challenge everybody.
Dean! Love it. Tom calls Ben Benihana, by the way, and I really like that.
I do like that.
I feel like
cute.
that's so Alan Yang. I don't know if it's really him. Maybe it's Norm Hiscock that did that, obviously, because he was the writer. But Tom has so many, or maybe it's just Aziz. I don't know. Maybe it was like the Chicky Chicky Parm Parm, where like everybody comes up with their own thing, because he always like calls people, like a pun type name, which is really interesting. So
Yeah. Interesting.
anyway. And yeah, like you said, Sleazy Tom, he goes into his ritual for bringing home ladies, and that's why he does not want Ben to be living with him. And again, Tom's not getting the social cues of like, you don't have to tell me the story. Just like, stop talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
This
my
could be a
God.
much quicker conversation.
Right. But I do love there's a Boys to Men moment, like callback, like when Lucy was there
Yeah.
at his
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. I
Pigeons in
did
the
like
back-
that little
oh.
rap situation that he did about what his routine is.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It's
it's
cute.
still cute. Like, it's, and by cute, I just mean like funny. Maybe
Yeah.
not cute to certain women, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
The pigeons in the background weren't really moving, and I thought that was weird. So I don't know what was going on.
Maybe they're
with
the
it.
fake ones.
Could be.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is now where Tom is suggesting that Andy and April might need someone to live with, and they go to the shoe shine stand. And I don't know. I love April so much, but I just hated how she acted in this moment. I was kind of annoyed with her.
I can agree with that.
It's
I
funny.
mean, it's her, right? That's her
Totally.
personality. Like, I don't care. But at the same time, you have the opportunity to pay half the rent potentially right now.
Right.
Like, sit up, have a conversation. Like, Andy's more serious about this, and Andy's never more serious,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, and they go back and forth. Like, here are the rules. And he's like, she's kidding.
Right.
And I love how he's laughing at her, and it's cute between the two of them. And Ben's so confused. He's like, I don't know what's happening.
I know. He's like, it's hard to tell when she's joking.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I feel like it's also kind of, maybe it's a little bit like Angela in The Office, where I'm just like, I don't love the way that you're acting, but also that's the way that you're meant to be written. So it's fine.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And it's
But-
played well.
Yeah, totally. And I also really love how they kind of set up the backstory of it, that Burley was living there, but then he moved in with his rich girlfriend. So now they need help with the rent. And just side note, the house rules, some of them are, I just wrote down some of them. One of them is you are not supposed to be able to walk into the front door. You have to go through some other entrance. No loud phone conversations, and speaking to her in the formal Spanish. Usted.
Yes.
Oh my
I love
God. And
that
then
one.
Andy says electricity is free. It's free. You can use however much electricity you want to. It's totally free. Oh God, Andy, you're so dumb.
Oh,
You're cute, but you're
sweet
simple.
man. Here's the crazy thing is he's like 30.
I know.
How do you
He's
make it to
older than
30
April.
without knowing this shit? And took care of all of it, obviously. Right?
I guess, yeah. That would make
Um,
so much sense.
Yeah. But then
It's
then
kinda
he was homeless,
funny.
I guess. And then Burley took care of it. But Burley had to have been charging him
Something.
stuff. But maybe
But
he
I
just
don't
lumped
think
it
he
all
ever paid
together.
it.
Fair.
I feel like Andy never paid it, and Burley was always like, "What the fuck, man?"
Yeah.
You know.
I can see that. Yeah.
But it is really funny to me too how, like, you just mentioned Anne and Andy, and I think now it's so funny because we're only on season 3, and you already have forgotten that Anne and Andy used to be together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's easy to forget because they were only together for like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And they just, you look at them now and you're like, ooh, I don't think
No
that
thanks.
works.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
And then, okay, this next little part where April asks if Andy wants her gum and spits her gum into his mouth that she's been chewing. Aubrey Plaza, I don't know if you noticed, looked like she was breaking. And I think it's because apparently this was not scripted.
oh my gosh.
That was not scripted. She just had a weird smile at the end. So I was like, why is she kind of breaking? And Ben just stares at them. I'm surprised he didn't break, but
I know.
like, that's so Chris Pratt as well, to just like be a good
Go
scene
along with it.
partner. And yeah, and like improv with her. So gross.
So gross. It's so gross. I'm Ben. I am Ben.
I would be too. Just like, what the fuck?
I don't know how to respond to
this.
this. Yeah. This is so gross.
Oh my God. I cannot imagine that. I'm
Yeah.
like glad that it stayed in though. I feel like it's so indicative of Andy and April.
Oh,
Like, it just
100%.
is them.
It's a great character quality of the couple that we get to see for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When Andy and Ben really are the ones having the conversation about moving in because April's kind of checked out. She is reading a newspaper called My Football Saturday.
Yeah, I looked up that. I couldn't find
it's not
one.
real.
Could you?
No, it's not real.
I could not find that newspaper anymore.
Yeah, and I tried to look at like what the articles would be about, or if they would be about anybody real. The pictures were really kind of smudgy, and
Yeah.
the way she was holding it, like you couldn't see the faces of any of the players. But Saturday football is college football day. There's no NFL games on Saturdays, so I'm assuming it was some sort of college thing. And with U of I and Purdue in Indiana, maybe it is kind of catered towards that.
But
I tried
why
to
would
look.
April be reading it?
I don't know. That's also was my question.
Maybe she wants to be with Andy and like talk about things with Andy, but that doesn't track either. But either way,
I think she also just didn't want to talk to Ben, and that
That's
was
fair.
probably the thing she could pick up and
100%. Yes.
act like she was reading. It was they had the date on there of September 25th, 2010, which was in fact a Saturday. I did look that up. But my brain was like, is it September in the show right now? Because didn't Harvest Fest, that supposedly probably was happening in like September, maybe even
like
October, right?
Probably October.
So
I would think.
she could be. I was like, I feel like she's reading an old issue.
I know. You know what I feel? I almost imagine that they just went to like Warner Brothers props department or something and just like picked off a random ass newspaper that was just there.
Yeah. Which interesting, because wasn't it, didn't this air in 2010 though? So it must have been a very recent prop. Like,
was it? I thought it was 2011 by this point.
Maybe it was 2011. So it's a year old paper.
I know that.
I love it.
A part of me was like, maybe, original air date, April 28th, 2011.
You're right. Yeah.
But like,
sorry.
Also, no. Maybe also they have, doesn't Andy have newspapers at the shoe shine stand? So maybe she just randomly picks shit up.
Yeah, I think she got it from there. But then my thought is, yeah, that checks out that the Pawnee shoe shine stand has papers from a year.
Right. That's true.
So it all comes
Andy
together.
doesn't update it. All the candy is expired.
All the candy is expired. You know what's new on at the shoe shine stand is he has wedding pictures.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, it's super cute. Like behind the seat where April's sitting. Yeah, they have two. I think one of them dancing. The other one has a couple other people in it. I think it's like when they're at the altar, I think.
Oh, that's precious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super sweet.
Love that. Okay, well now I'm at the art show, if you are.
I am.
Okay, cool. So we've seen the William Percy Rec Center before in Leslie's House episode. This is the same place that they had all the meetings of the teachers that teach at the community center. So that was a really cool, like, world building moment.
Yes.
And
did we ever look up William Percy when we did that?
I don't think we looked up William Percy, but we did look up that this was a real location. It's in an actual park in Los Angeles.
Right.
But I don't know if we looked up William Percy.
Okay. Yes. So
I know, there's actually a Percy Warner Park here. I feel like, William Percy was a lawyer, planter, and poet from Greenville, Mississippi.
Yeah, that's what I got. But then there's also, there's a William A. Percy Foundation as well.
Oh, okay.
So, but yes, he lived from 1885 to 1942. And he stayed it looks like he stayed in Greenville, Mississippi, because that's where he passed away as well.
Well, why is he in Pawnee then?
I couldn't tell you. So that's what I was thinking is like, was it based off this real person or do we think that they just picked a name and made it work?
Yeah, I don't know. Percy is definitely no, maybe not. I was going to say Percy is like a family name because we have, but I'm totally thinking a different thing because there's a Percy Warner Park and an Edwin Warner Park here, and they were like a really big family, but Warner is the family name of that, not Percy. So anyway, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It looks like he lived in
maybe somebody was from Mississippi in the cast or crew or something, and
could have been. Yeah, he lived in New Orleans, Tennessee. Looks like he went to New England for a little bit. It doesn't look like he lived there. But yeah, nothing about him living in Indiana. So I don't know. Interesting.
Right. Very. Well, I'm glad we found that this person was a real person, if that is in fact who it's based after.
If they meant to name it after him, that'd be cool.
Right.
But oh well.
Yeah. Well, Leslie asks if Ron will give the speech for the community center art show, and he's like, no. And then this is when she turns into a child. And this is also, I think, one of the first, no, it might be the second time, but this is like her big, I guess, start to like when she does this frequently in the show where she's like, no, yes, please. Like she can make anyone do anything kind of thing.
Yeah. And it reminds me of Dwight.
That
episode
totally.
when he buys the car from Andy and he's like, sell it, make a deal, do it now,
Yes.
shake my hand. And then he does it to Michael later when he wants complete control over the building so that he can fire Stanley for him.
That's so true.
Yeah. That's the vibe I got.
Yeah. Finally, Ron can't take it because at first he was holding up well, but she just continues. And I like that Ron's way of taking command of the room is just telling everyone to shut up and look at him.
That's right on point with Ron.
Yeah.
I have to note here too, it's really sad because I feel like even when Leslie and Dave broke up, she was never this discouraged. Like she's losing her passion for her work. And that's something we don't ever see Leslie go through. So I think it's a really powerful representation of what she kind of was hoping to have with Ben, because I don't see anything else really getting her down this bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. It's a great point. Did you also notice that there is a sculpture in front of Ron during this entire frame? And it's like taking up so much fucking room.
It is.
Like, why are you, what is this?
And I don't know about you, but I don't think I saw any other sculptures. I feel like that was the only one I saw.
I saw other things. I don't know if they were sculptures. I saw other like platforms, like what the sculpture was on. But I don't know if they were sculptures or just like other, pieces of art. I'm not really sure what they were. But
yeah, interesting.
Either way, it's just funny.
Yeah.
And so Ron starts off fine. I mean, not really, but he's just like stating facts basically of like, here's what this is. But then he like goes into his opinions on why nature paintings are so dumb and gets all like, stupid and
pointless when you can go outside and just stand in it.
Right.
End of speech.
Right. But I don't know, Ron, isn't it an homage to nature? Hello.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
Also,
you're not going to change Ron's mind. I agree with you, but
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, totally. Also, so now we are seeing, so now I'm cutting to where Ben is seeing Andy and April's house.
Yes. Who had the most fun creating this shithole of a mess?
Oh my God. So much trash. I cannot believe it. And the fact that he stays is like beyond me. And later we see, like you said in your summary, like we do see that it's like almost a challenge to him to teach them how to be adults and like how to live properly, I guess. But yeah. I'm glad Burley got out is all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Who knows if Burley even has a rich girlfriend or if he was just like, I'm leaving.
Bye. Oh my God. It's so funny. I can't. And then they say that they made this mess in a week. And Ben is like, I was just here.
Yeah.
Like what? And they were frying
for your wedding.
Marbles too.
Yes.
To
check if the fire alarm was working.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Oh, but they just left the marbles
insane.
there too. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. And there's just two of them. I feel like you had like 5 or 6 people living in the house. Sure, you could make that mess in a week, but it's just 2 of them. How?
100%.
What are you guys doing? And you both work full-time jobs?
Yeah. Like what?
My gosh.
Yeah, and I could see like if you didn't throw trash away, even in a day, it would get insane. But like to not put something in a trash can, like even, I mean, I've left like tissues and stuff out for a day, sure. And then you throw it away. Sorry if that sounds gross, but it happens. Okay.
No, it does. 100%.
But I mean, it's wild. It's just wild. And I can't even, it just gives me such anxiety to like look at that.
That's exactly how I felt. I was like, I would walk in and probably walk right back out.
With how dirty it was too. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Not just the trash, but just like the carpets and like it just looks so dingy. It looks like a crack house.
Yeah, well, and I think it looks like too. I think the other thing that makes it look is it looks like Burley took a lot of furniture with him.
Totally, exactly.
So it's like
this decrepit abandoned house.
Yeah, it looks like they're homeless and they're just chilling in there. That's kind of the vibe it gives.
Totally. That was I bet that was like the whole goal.
The meaning.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm back at the community center if you are.
Yeah, I just have to say before we get back to the community center, they do say we've been looking for someone who's willing to pay more than their share of rent without knowing about it. And I think we found that in Ben. And I'm like, you guys, I mean, that really hurt my heart for those two characters because I do really love them. And I was like, that's really shitty of you.
But now it's like they know what they're doing, whereas opposed to they don't know their intention a lot of the other times. And this time they're like screwing him over. Yeah.
Intentionally, right? Like it's different from when we were talking about earlier, like that Chris is unintentionally making this very awkward for Ben, right?
Yeah.
His heart's in the right place. And
Right.
it's like, you just have a conversation with Ben, I feel like. If you're like, hey, we're sharing a room. We really think that the rent should be cut in half instead. We also make way less than you. Like, I think he would have been agreeable. But this behind his back makes me feel really slimy and icky.
I know. I agree. I don't know why I had it later, but this is actually where I think the deleted scene would come in. They had a whole bunch of deleted scenes of like their talking heads talking to each other about the rent, and like Ben has a talking head too. I'll just go ahead and play it now, since we're talking about it. I think it might this is where again, fair warning. This is where I was like, Ben, get out. But he also, I don't know, he finds it cute or something. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so here is this.
Pay a total of $550 a month. And so we told him that the rent was $1,300 and his portion basically covers all the rent.
Yeah, we learned that on Craigslist.
Yeah. Which is a website.
This house is $550 and I'm giving them $1,300? You know what? It's actually kind of hard to get mad at them. Like right now I should be seething, but I don't really care. I just want to clean them.
What?
It's his own issues. It's his own issues, Holly. That's what I got.
That's what
he
I'm
can't leave
saying.
without fixing it.
Because remember we said a little bit like it was a challenge for him to teach them how to be adults. It's his own thing. So like they're both to blame. Like like Ben knows now. Yeah. And he's still like, I want to fix them. So it doesn't make me feel as bad now.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Not that I felt bad
before,
say. I guess. But like in some instances, I mean, for the most part, like you heard me, but in the most part, I was like just mad at Ben because I was like, Ben, what the F? You're smarter than this. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, now we know it's just their own issues.
It makes me feel better about Ann and Andy, though, that if they had kept this in, I wouldn't have been as mad at them about, the other thing is,
well, because they weren't. So these were talking heads. They weren't telling Ben,
right? But he found out.
Right, he found out. Like I think the documentary crew told him.
Which I would rather that scene stay in and be like, all right, they're both messed up and they're feeding off of each other. It's fine, rather than me having that like, damn, Andy and April, like this is awful.
They suck.
Yeah. And the other thing is this, like it's $550 a month in total. I thought when they were saying it, we told him it was $1,300, and so he was paying $650. But then to hear him say he's paying $1,300, I'm like, they are pocketing so much cash right now.
That's how they can buy an Xbox.
Yeah, insane.
So insane. So, anyways, okay. Now we are, back at the community center. Oren is back. He's standing next to a blank canvas, and Ron is like, you forgot to paint a painting, son.
I love it.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah. It was definitely intentional for Oren in my head.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, totally. Yeah. So there is a deleted scene where Oren hands Leslie, after Ron says you forgot to paint a painting, Oren hands Leslie a magnifying glass and tells her, like, he like points at a place on the painting, and he tells her, or he doesn't say anything because it's Oren, but he says, he points at it, hands her the magnifying glass. She looks through the magnifying glass at this teeny tiny little place, and there's the word nature written out. And
Oh my
and
gosh.
then she hands the magnifying glass back, and she's just like, walk away. Okay, walk away, back away. Like he's going to dart forward or something. It's just so funny how Leslie is so terrified of him, I feel.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I don't feel
so
like she's
technically-
intimidated a lot, and she is by Oren. So
Totally. So technically he did have something to do with nature, but it was different and unique, as Oren is. I did want to say that this style of art exhibition is apparently similar to an artist named Marina Abramovic. She is a Yugoslavian performance artist who sits or stands silently and immobile at some of her art exhibits.
weird.
So it's art.
Art.
Okay.
Oren is the art.
Oren and his painting and his blank canvas. I don't know, like, what this... I actually didn't look up what this gal... Like, I should have looked up Marina Abramovic's, like actual exhibits. Like, I don't know if her exhibit or her paintings or sculptures or art is blank while she's sitting or standing next to them, or, you know, I don't know. But...
Or interesting.
But either way, it is... every story has been told. Every person has a vibe.
Yes,
Anyway.
very true.
Okay, so now we're seeing Jerry's painting, and he's the only... I was wondering, like, he's the only one in the Parks Department, I guess, who did one. So that's kind of nice, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know if it was necessarily like you had to do one,
Right.
but he heard about it and was like,
I'll try
I
that.
love doing art, so I'll just do one.
Yeah, and he used his inspiration from one of his favorite Greek myths, the centaur goddess Diophena. Breaking news, Diophena is not a real goddess.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I think they didn't talk about this, but I have been reading a lot of Greek fiction, Greek fantasy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like kind of obsessed with like each. There's so much. There's so much. So like I'm kind of obsessed with like learning what each god, goddess, hero, which hero is immortal, like Achilles or like a demigod. Achilles is actually half god,
Yeah.
half mortal. But anyway, so I think Diophena, they never said anything like this, but I personally think that this was relating to, like, they kind of mixed it because Aphrodite, who's the goddess of love, beauty, and sexuality, and then Athena is the goddess of war, and Leslie's killing a stag. But there's also a god, oh my gosh, I forgot to write it, Dionysus.
Okay.
And he's the god of grape harvest, winemaking, orchards, and fruit. And he like festivities and happiness and things like that. Well, they say ecstasy, but happiness, same thing. So I wonder if it's like Dionysus and Athena makes up Diophena. I don't know.
That would be cool.
Yeah. And then she's like Donna later says Aphrodite, like calls Leslie Aphrodite when she's addressing her. So like,
Yeah.
I think it was just kind of a mixture of all the goddesses probably. But I thought that was wild. I thought Diophena was real until this episode.
As did I.
Yeah.
I didn't even think to look it up. I was just like, sure.
Yeah.
Sounds
'cause
right.
It sounds so real.
Yeah, it does.
But anyway, everyone seems disturbed, but also like really stunned because they're so confused on to how to like. They're like, this is a beautiful painting, but also like, this is Leslie. It's revealed that he painted Leslie like accidentally, and Jerry's like, no, it's not. Oh my god, whatever. And then he gets all embarrassed because he's like, oh my gosh, it totally is. And I love that Leslie is just because Jerry's like, okay, I'll take it down. It's fine. I've just been painting a lot of like powerful women, and I guess you came to mind, which is very sweet. I think
It is
that's
very
precious.
sweet. And he's
But it
very
is kind of,
kind
like,
to be
weird.
like, I'll take my piece down for you if you're uncomfortable with it. It's very, I mean, he's very, there's so much to like about Jerry.
I know.
And we always forget that because everybody doesn't like him.
I know. And then Leslie is inspired by this. Little did she know she needed some kind of like boost to feel powerful and goddess like and like she's in control of something. And that's what this painting does for her, which is super nice. And then we see that the baby is Tom. And then
Yeah.
Jerry and everyone sees Tom as a little baby.
I love it. Baby rolls.
Oh my god. I love Anne in this moment too, where she's like poking fun at him. Like she's such a badass, I feel, in this one. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
She's-
I think the transition we're seeing, even though it was a little iffy earlier when she's like Paxil, I think the transition we're seeing is from this Anne who thought the best she could do is Andy to she's gaining more confidence.
She's her own person.
Yeah.
She's not beholden to anyone, you know, much like Leslie. And so she can be a little bit more like, you know, swaggery and suave and like, who gives a fuck kind of vibe is what I felt. You know?
Oh, yeah. And comfortable with the parks people enough that she can be like, you know.
Yes.
It's her friends too now. So it's like she's poking fun at him. I like it.
Well, and she's seen how sleazy Tom can be. And so she, which is the same as me. That's what I thought of. I was like, ooh, finally we get to like poke some shit at Tom because he's been so dumb lately.
He deserves it.
To other people. Yeah. Then there's this dude that comes by and Leslie's like, welcome to the painting. I love that she just wants to show everyone. And then he says, oh, that's hot. And Leslie has a moment where she's like, ooh.
I know. She needed this. I feel like she's so down on herself. And, you know, I feel like she hasn't got a lot of good relationships in the past. And she could have seen a lot of positivity with Ben. So she's like falling down on that. And then she's like, this is how people see me. Okay. Like I can get on board with this. So I like it.
Yeah, and I love how Jerry's the one that does that for her, yet she keeps saying, this isn't your fight. This isn't about you.
This isn't even about you, Jerry. I feel so bad for him. It's like,
I love his
later
little
he's
thing
like,
of,
it's my painting.
Yeah, jinx. Oh my God. Well, this actor that came up that was kind of like flirty flirt saying it was hot is named Joseph. I'm going to say it's Joseph because he spells it Jozef. So it could be Joseph. I don't know. But anyway, Joseph Fahey. And he's been in NCIS, Argo, a couple others. He's also a director of quite a few short films, which is really cool.
That's cool.
So good job to him. Love that.
Yes.
And now I'm back at the office if you are.
I am also back at the office.
Cool. Well, now this worker is fixing the light in their office that we talked about before. The one that's flickering, foreshadowing. Tom says they've been trying to get it fixed for months, but Leslie marched into his office and was like, you have to fix this today. I'm not going to leave. I did not know. You probably did, maybe. I did not know this is the same guy that catches Ben and Leslie.
I didn't either. That's awesome.
Isn't it great? Oh, I thought that's what you meant by foreshadowing.
Oh, no. No, I meant the light earlier was commented on. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is the same worker that comes back and catches Ben and Leslie kissing at Lil Sebastian's memorial and also comes back to give his testimony thing during the trial of Leslie Knope.
Very cool. Good consistency, guys.
It's great. I love it. His character name is Lenny on the show, but his actual name in real life is Biff Yeager. Biff, Biff. He's been in so many things. He's like a star. Star Trek, Rutherford Falls, which is another Mike Schur show with Ed Helms. Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, which is the one with Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito, for those of you not familiar. Repo Man, Mindy Project, Scandal, Gilmore, like the second Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life, like a bunch of others. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So yeah, I'm glad he came back.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I also love that Leslie is wearing this braided headband moment to emulate Jerry's painting.
100%. Very, very.
So cool.
She never wears anything in her hair, and it is exactly how she's painted in his painting, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. And she's also wearing kind of like a lower cut top, and it's like kind of badass because there's like some cleavage showing in some of these scenes, and I'm like, okay, queen, take control.
I love it. I love that for her.
Me too. And Tom is all mad because they're going to hang that painting in a public building, and he doesn't want to be known as the fat baby because apparently he thinks he has a Jay-Z vibe. What?
No, Tom.
Oh, dear.
I can't.
Ugh, gosh.
I love it.
And then, oh, go ahead.
I love when she says, learn it.
Oh, about fixing the printer?
Yes.
Yeah, she's like, fix the printer before you go. And she puts on this kind of like goddess vocal thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Effect. Fix the printer.
Yeah, like she's talking like a princess almost.
Yeah, or like she's the queen and she's addressing her subject. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I like it.
This is where Donna says that Chris wants to see Leslie, and Donna calls Leslie Aphrodite, and then Jerry's like, should I go? And then this is again where Leslie's like, this is not your fight, like whatever. This isn't about you, Jerry. It's my painting.
Poor Jerry.
Oh my God, Marsha Langman comes back.
I can't. I
Cannot.
have to give so much credit to the actress because she
She's so
makes you
good.
hate Marsha so much. Whether you agree with Marsha or not, if this should be hung in a government building, the way she plays it is just so holier than thou. And I'm here to fuck up everybody else's life because I have nothing better to do vibe. And I can't stand it.
Oh my gosh. A Karen before the name Karen was out.
Correct. Yes.
Ugh. And she says it's a government-funded animal porn, and she wants a statement apologizing, and she wants it destroyed.
I don't know why Leslie needs to apologize.
Right. I agree.
For what? Yeah. So
I agree.
The easiest solution would be, hey, I don't appreciate this being hung in a government building where kids could end up being walking down the hall. I don't care what you do with it, but please don't put it in a public building. Like, that's fair.
That was my thing. That was my thing the whole entire time. I was like, why does it have to be like destroyed and burned?
Right.
I have a whole like notes on that but I'll talk about it now. But basically, I'm just like, I think this is so indicative of just how, and it's such a funny satire that they did. It's really brilliant of like, there's no compromise with hatred. There's nothing that's going to be good enough until everything is destroyed, until people can't marry who they love, until women are controlled, until the list goes on. You know what I mean? Like, there's no good solution. They just want control.
There's no meat in the middle. Yeah. No meeting in the middle at all. This is how I saw this going down. This is how I see it fixed. And this is how you're going to fix it. There's no other solution.
I agree with you. I think that it could be hung anywhere, or even like we'll get there. But like when Leslie says, I'll just take it myself. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I'll never put it anywhere where anyone else can see it. I just want it. Yeah. And she's like, no, that's not good enough. Bye.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
I don't know why it's not. And it's probably stupid, but the kids I work with that have autism or they have really big behavioral needs, right? This is something I work on with them because they can only see one solution and it has to be their way. And that's when we have a lot of meltdowns.
Oh, wow.
So we have to work on, it's okay that there are other solutions. And look, you are still fine if we don't do it exactly the way you wanted to. And it just cracks me up sometimes when I look at adults and the way they behave. And I'm like, I have kids that can do better than you.
Right.
Like, this is stupid. You know?
Oh my God. That's so true. Wow. Wow. Well, friendly reminder that Marsha Langman is played by Darlene Hunt. She is
done,
lovely.
Darlene.
Oh, well done, Darlene. She was the showrunner for Call Me Kat, which is the amazing show that, oh gosh, how do you pronounce her name? Milam Bialik was in. She's Amy on Big Bang Theory. Yeah, Miam.
I've heard her say Mayam Bialik.
Okay.
Is her name. Yeah.
Okay. Well, she was Amy on Big Bang Theory, and Darlene Hunt was the showrunner for that, which is a huge job. Darlene Hunt is like a really big crew member. Like, she is also an EP. She's an executive producer on so many shows, including Dickinson, which we talked about when she first came on here. But just friendly reminder, Dickinson is the Apple TV show that Haley Steinfeld was on. We love Haley Steinfeld. And yeah, a bunch of others. So I'm like really proud of her, and she's awesome. And the way that she talks about this, like when she's talking about how it's like bestiality, and the writing was wonderful too, because Leslie is saying what the whole audience is thinking too, where Leslie's like, how? Like, what? It's not showing bestiality. And then she answers the question and she's like, well, who had sex with what in order to be a centaur? I was like, it's a Greek myth, homie. Like,
yeah. Well, and you're not watching the two things have sex on the painting, okay?
Oh, right. Exactly. But again, it's just like you said, it's just like something gets so stuck in their mind that they cannot like do anything differently.
And they feel like they're losing if they compromise.
Right. That's exactly right. It's like they can't hold
problem.
Two things at once. You can't hold space for one thing while another thing exists. It's just very black and white. She was phenomenal and remains phenomenal until the end of the show. But she wants it destroyed. And then this part is really funny. I don't know that I remembered this part where Leslie's like asking Chris if he finds it personally offensive. And we learn that no, Chris like personally likes the art of the human body. And in fact, he's dabbled in nude sculptures and he's posed nude. I did not know that. I don't remember like hearing that.
No, and I don't know if we needed to know, Chris. I feel like we didn't need to know that. But
he did a nude production of cats? What? Who was watching that? Who was putting that on.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know who goes to that. Great question.
That is hilarious.
But I do love how Chris is able to give his professional opinion, and he's able to keep things professional while also coming in and saying, listen, I agree with you in my personal life. I totally agree with you, Leslie. I think this is stupid, but professionally, I agree that, I have to keep things in line.
Right. We're in a government building and it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. But I do love this line that they come back with. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I don't know if it's my favorite line. I don't think it is. I think I have another favorite line that I can't remember, but every work of art has a message, and this painting's message is get out of my way unless you want an arrow in your ass. Marsha.
It's so beautifully delivered, whispered.
So beautifully delivered, and
confidently.
The whole editing was perfect too. Just the zoom in on her face as she says Marsha with the pause. It's so good.
Yeah, I love it. She did a great job.
Ugh. Okay, now I'm at where Ben is with Andy and April. Are you there?
Yes, and they're eating out of Frisbees, which is
iconic.
Gross.
Yes, iconic part of the show, but yes, definitely nasty. Ben also says he doesn't have a bed. There were no bed bugs, but there was no bed, so he has to go get a bed.
Yep.
And then the turkey chili thing, they're sharing a fork. And again, Andy, we forgot to say this, but Andy said the dirtiness of the house was cute.
Yeah.
And now he's saying that this part is cute of them eating turkey chili and Frisbees with one fork. And Ben's like, do you know what cute means?
Yeah. Do you know what that word means? Because I feel like you're using it wrong. I love that line. I have that written down as well.
Right. Oh my God. And then that's where they learn that, Ben says that, I might need to not stay here kind of thing. And then that's when we learn that they spent his rent money on an Xbox 360. So that's fun. And then I was like, wait, so, but because at first when I didn't hear that deleted scene, I was like, wait, so they spent his rent on something else. So are they behind on rent? And because how are they paying? But then he's paying them more than they need. So, okay.
Much more than they need.
Let me see. There was a deleted scene where April says that she makes a lot of money because I got the impression that this was all during the same kind of talking heads as the last deleted scene. And where they say, I think we found that in Ben. I got the impression that the documentary crew was asking them, how do you guys afford to pay rent or pay for this house? And April says she makes a lot of money so she can afford rent. She just randomly says that. No, she doesn't. She's like, I make a lot of money being Ron's assistant. Okay.
Do you know?
And then, And then Andy says, I make some money by shining shoes and doing scratch tickets, which I think is such a funny line.
That's
because
characteristic.
He's losing as much as he is getting probably with the scratch tickets.
Yep. Accurate.
God. And then obviously this is now where we're like, this is Ben saying, okay, I'm going to teach you guys how to be adults. We're going to clean this place up.
Yeah.
So, okay. Which, again, I'm still confused by, but whatever.
They're feeding each other's problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're on Purd. You heard with Purd. Are you there? Can we move to that one?
Yeah, and this line that Purd has, what some would say are human breasts. I'm like, what would others say, Purd? What the hell?
I know.
So
what other breasts are in this picture? That's so funny. Maybe centaur breasts? I don't know. But who's to say? But it's just so funny to me, the idea of this painting being on the local news. This is a huge deal for this town.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good job, Jerry.
Right. Totally. Which is, again, just I feel like we're going to say this 100 times, but Jerry never gets mentioned in any of these discussions, which I guess is not the point of who painted it, but still, it's just really funny to me.
Yeah.
But is it art or pornography is the question that we're discussing. Leslie is on the show to answer that question. Side note, they both have yellow mugs that they're drinking out of that Jay Jackson, a.k.a. Purd, said that he still has / showed us when we interviewed him. So, Amazing.
Yeah.
I want that.
What do you think? Before Brandi Maxxxx comes on and whatnot, what do you think? Do you think it's porn or do you think it's art?
I think it's art.
I agree. Okay. I didn't think you would feel differently. I just was like, I want to put our thoughts out there before we get to Brandi's line that makes me laugh and gag at the same time.
The dirtiest line in Parks history.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that like we've already touched on everything basically, but I just think that it shouldn't be, to me, in my opinion, it shouldn't necessarily be in a public building. However,
I feel like you're going the same way I am.
art museums also have penises and breasts on so many sculptures. So I don't quite understand this argument.
You can't go into a single museum in Italy and not see a penis.
So
sorry, not sorry. Like,
right.
I think it's art. And I think if we spend too much time, like this is going on to a different tangent kind of, but if we go into too much time and effort of people thinking that nudity is that bad, like I feel like we're honestly creating a bigger problem.
I totally agree. That's a great point.
But
yeah. And like you said, they're not having sex with animals or having sex in general on this painting.
Yeah. The baby and the centaur are so far away from each other. There's nothing sexual about that.
And totally. And I mean, it's like, it's not violent. It's not like non-consensual of, like anything of that vibe. So it's really seems so insane to me. But again, it's this small town, and I don't mean to like throw small towns under the bus, but a lot of people just don't have the open mind to think of this in a different way.
Yeah.
They're just thinking of how it's going to affect them personally. It's just like the same thing, and I don't mean to go again. It's a tangent, but it's similar to like how some women don't approve of trans women because in their head it makes them less of a woman somehow, when in fact that's not true. How in the fuck does that even make sense? And so it's just like, if I have this pornography in my town, it makes me less of a righteous person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's so stupid. But
it is.
Leslie says that government shouldn't be in the business of censorship, which reminds me a lot of the book bannings and just this age-old discussion of censorship, which I think, in the first couple episodes, first season, really, I feel like everything, and we've talked about this before, where a lot of the storylines were based on real government like issues that they made satire out of. I think we're kind of getting back into that. Yeah. Because we haven't really been doing that as much. This obviously wasn't based on like a real thing, but like we have these discussions in government all the time of like censorship and government and,
what's
small
their
town
role?
People.
Yeah.
Small-minded people, not small town. Sorry, small-minded people. And so anyway, I just think that that's really cool that they're getting back to that. But Purd says like to Leslie, that Leslie is the subject, where that's, I think, where it gets kind of tricky, because if it was maybe a random person, it would still be bad. But I think it's like, it's a little bit different that it's like a specific person in the town, maybe. Do
you think it gives Marcia more fire under her ass?
I think it does.
Because she already doesn't like Leslie.
Right. I agree. So
interesting. I hadn't thought of that until this moment.
Yeah. I think that it might be a little... I don't know. I just feel like that's where it gets a little tricky, because Leslie's almost taking this personally, which I think that she would still be standing up for, that it's art, not porn anyway. But since she's the subject, it's interesting to me.
Yeah.
So, but then Purd like makes a joke and asks, or not a joke to him, but he asks if centaurs are real. She's like, no.
Oh, Purd.
So seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so we just have one more thing before we can continue at the studio, is that Ben is... Or, well, do you have anything before we get to Ben?
No, but I love this scene so much.
Me too. He's teaching Andy and April how to be adults by separating blacks and whites with washing their laundry.
That's racist.
Yeah.
Which Connor and Ivan used to say that to, like, they say that all the time, and I don't think they got it from Parks and Rec. So I think other people say that as well.
That's funny.
Yeah.
They're using bubble bath as soap, which, oh my God.
They both make bubbles, Holly, so it's fine.
Jinx.
As Andy says. He's like, they're the same thing. And Ben's like, no, they're not. He's like, well, they both make bubbles, so. I like how he whispers it. The presentation by Chris Pratt there is great for me.
It's very much like teacher-student kind of thing,
Yeah.
I think it's also funny because I don't separate my blacks and whites.
You don't?
Don't. I just kind of throw them all in there. Nothing bad has happened yet, so.
Well, because do you use cold?
Yeah.
Yeah. I use hot for the whites. Because otherwise, if you put colors in there, especially if it's like a new shirt that's never been washed, like the colors could run.
Yeah.
But,
and I'm sure my whites aren't as bright as they could be for that very reason. But I just don't care that much.
That's fair. Teach their own, honestly.
Yeah.
When I lived by myself, I was much less motivated to do that. I still did, but I think because I do laundry for 2 people now and sometimes more than that, it's like I have enough crap to put in the whites and to put in the colors separately. But when you're one person, it's like
that's true.
Don't have enough to do.
Yeah, that's really real. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so iconic moment coming up. We have Brandi Maxxxx joining the interview. This is our first time seeing her.
Love it.
And Leslie it's almost like Leslie had no idea. I don't think that she did, but it's just funny because like before she's revealed, she's sitting next to Leslie, and Leslie has no idea that Brandi is even coming on in general, and she just appeared out of nowhere, which I think is so funny.
Yeah. Which I don't know if I'm just like not clued in, but also I don't know porn stars by their names.
No.
So
no, I do not know.
I don't know. Like, does Pawnee all know that Brandi Maxxxx is a porn star? And like, if she's like a town celebrity?
I think that she is a town celebrity. That's how I feel about it. It's like they're in this kind of smaller community, so they all know what everyone. But it's just so funny to me. Like, I don't know. I would love to know or hear from someone who, in their small town, they have a porn star that they all know about. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
interesting.
Little breakdown on Brandi Maxxxx. She was played by Mara Marini. She's been in Schitt's Creek. She is Canadian, by the way, which is really cool. She's been in Blackish. She's been in a couple of other. It's just really funny. I was looking at her IMDb, and there's quite a bit of like movies and stuff that are very like sex positive and sexy scenes. Not porn, but like sexy scenes. And so I was like, that's cool. Sounds funny and great. I should watch some. She also was doing some mocap on her motion capture on her Instagram that I saw. I'm not really sure what project that was for, but. So she's working. She's out there. And we have exciting news that she may or may not be joining us on the podcast.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that.
Very exciting.
Super exciting. This next bit of dialogue, though, is so good. It's so funny. Perd says that she's starred in over 200 adult films. And Brandi says she only started last year.
Do you know how many that is? That's so ridiculous. And gross. And tiring, probably.
Yeah, and tiring for sure. I like that Perd says, kind of back to his some of which would say are human breasts. He says some of which were very good. About the show or the movies, the porn movies that she was in. And I'm like, so he didn't think all of them were good? Dang.
Yeah.
Which is so funny. Do you remember when we interviewed Jay Jackson and I asked him about his song that he has literally called Porn Star?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You guys,
he's such an interesting man.
Oh, crazy. If you haven't listened to that episode, you need to. It's so wild ride is all I'll say about that.
We've had a couple Perd appearances over the last like 5 to 6 episodes, right? So I wonder if maybe I'm thinking of ahead of time. I think I'm going ahead into season 4, but that could be a good one to re-release when we're getting more Perd going on.
Oh yeah,
because it was a long interview and we did get a lot of. He gave a lot of good information too. So
yeah, totally. I think they did such a good job of mirroring Leslie's outfit / hairstyle to Brandi Maxxxx. I just didn't even really, I mean, I think I knew that way later, but like in this initial episode, I don't know why I didn't even piece the two together. But basically, like Brandi is supposed to be the porn version of Leslie. And I just love Amy Poehler's face during this whole thing. It's so amazing. She's just like staring blankly and so shocked, like
doesn't know what to do.
Say right now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very well done. And I love Brandi when she says, what Leslie and I do. I'm like, no. Nope.
We're not doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
Okay? It just goes off the rails in so many ways.
Yeah.
And Brandi is saying that her and Leslie want people to know that they should be able to have sex wherever they want, whenever they want.
With whoever they want.
Oh my God. And then again, here we go with our line. I can't believe this made it on TV, but I guess
can't
at the
either.
same time, they're not saying like insane things or like, I don't know.
It packed a punch, though. I'll tell you that.
It packed a punch because it was just so out of fucking nowhere. So Perd asks, how would Brandi define pornography? And Brandi says, for me, it's when the penis goes in. What? Everybody, I think, like,
everyone pauses.
Shocked.
Yeah.
Perd, I love that editing of, or the writing or whatever, the whole vibe of the pause after she says that. Perd just kind of looks down. Leslie's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And Brandy's like, what did I say? What even is wrong with
It's
that?
not weird for her.
Oh my God. But if that's true, and maybe I'm being over analytical, but if that's true, there is no penis going in the painting. So in Brandy's own words, that is not pornography.
Correct.
It's like we've said. We said it in a nicer way that sex isn't happening. Intercourse is not happening, but she had to spell it out for us. So
yes, she really did.
Yes. I wanted to give a little bit of, it might be too long, but I'm just going to say it anyways, of a backstory on this Justice Stewart line where Leslie says, in fact, Justice Stewart said, about not being able to define porn, but he knows it when he sees it.
Right.
And I didn't really know about this. Did you know about this before?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Potter Stewart is the justice. He served from 1958 to 1981. And at the time of Stewart's confirmation, the court had been struggling for decades, apparently, to develop a coherent definition for First Amendment cases like involving obscenity and pornography. And they wanted to kind of balance freedom of speech and like expression of art, like against the state's ability to protect everybody kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so there was this court case, Jacobellis versus Ohio. Jacob Ellis, I don't know how, it's all in one, but it's like Jacob and Ellis put together versus Ohio, which was in 1964. And apparently it's just funny that he's kind of known for these porn cases and like deciding what weird. Is and is not porn. But anyway, so Jacob Ellis versus Ohio involved a prosecution of a movie operator, Nico Jacob Ellis, for showing The Lovers, which was a film that the state said was obscene. And Stewart's separate opinion in this, case said that there was a lot of frustration of many justices like deciding pornography cases. And that's when he said the whole thing of like, his full line is, I shall not today attempt further to define the kinds of material I understand to be embraced with that shorthand description, which was like hardcore porn, is it or is it not? Mm-hmm. And perhaps I could never succeed in intelligibly doing so, but I know it when I see it, and the motion picture involved in this case is not that. So that was the famous line that he had, and I think it's just really fascinating that Leslie knows that line. I guess she just knows, like, it's like pop culture for her to know Supreme Court, like, cases and things like that, I feel.
True, but I think she also could have, she's a preparation person, so I feel like she also could have looked it up before she went on.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the movie, The Lovers, but I do wonder, maybe I'll have to add that to my list. Like, I do wonder.
When did
because, and the whole point of this also was that he was saying criminal laws, like Jacob Ellis was going to be persecuted basically for showing this. And he was like, for it to be criminal, it needs to be hardcore porn. And so people were like, well, what is hardcore porn?
Right.
And so that's when he said that statement of, I'm not going to attempt to define it, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I think it sounds like he said like his thing was like this motion picture that like The Lovers was not hardcore porn. So anyway, that's a little history lesson for you guys.
Yeah. Very interesting.
And yeah. So now we're back to Ben trying to teach Andy and April, and Ben asks where the bills are organized, and Andy says he puts them in the freezer.
And he has a good point. Why are they in here? Well, I didn't lose them.
Yeah, it's so weird.
They're not.
He has that like air of when he's describing the Skittles and Starburst, where he tries to explain like all knowledgeably and like I know
his thought
what
process.
I'm doing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. I see that.
Yeah. I organize it into a pile or stack if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You have to pay
and then-
these.
Right. Well, and to your point, how are they this age and don't have a bank account?
Yeah. That we have to go all the way.
Lots
He keeps
of layers
backing
to this.
up. And then he's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, now we've got to start at the bank account. Now, April, I feel like I can put it together why they haven't gotten one yet.
I did too. After I thought about it a little bit, I think we're going to say the same thing. I get it.
Independently, right?
Yes.
They should have one now as adults. I feel like that's kind of on April's parents too, to like, hey,
Yeah.
we started a bank account for you when you started this job.
Right.
So here's where all the money is. She should have had one when she started the job at Parks and Rec, honestly.
Right. Well,
Because you're
I'm
making a good
wondering-
enough salary to need a bank account.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, did she take her paychecks and go like get cash for them, or? And then Andy, obviously, I was thinking like just must be using cash because he gets tips, and then he'll like,
Yeah.
I don't know if he gets a paycheck for being a shoe shine dude. Maybe he does,
I have no idea.
but I could see that being a cash paid thing. So
Yeah, and I can see him being too confused by what a blank bank account is and possibly not trusting one.
right, or maybe he's one of those ones where he like. Not one of those ones. I don't know if anyone would do this, but like he gets his check and puts it in with the bills, like in the freezer or something. I don't know.
Can you imagine them finding all that money in there?
Oh my god! Truly a child though, because he stains his lip at the bank because he's like eating the pen.
Yeah, and then he acts like it didn't happen. He puts it
Yeah.
down. He's like, "Yeah, what? Mm-hmm. Yep,
Oh my god!
I'm listening."
But yeah, I mean, like you said, with April, I definitely could see where like her parents would be paying for everything up until this point.
Up until this, yeah. So
But,
I feel like it's kind of on them to be like, "Hey, here's the bank account we opened for you." You know, like because that's
Weird.
what happened when I had my first job. I was 14, and my parents opened an account for me and put my paychecks in there for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that
Yeah,
should
or at
be the
least like
thing.
yeah, my mom like went with me to open my first one. I can't remember how old I was, but yeah, I was young, like around that age.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Crazy.
okay, so now Tom is talking to Brandi after the show, and she says she recognizes him from the painting, but he's trying to be all like sly and suave, and she says it's so cute, and he mistakes it for like being into it, and she's like, no.
No, I'm not into it. So gross.
Yeah, and now Chris is like so mad at Leslie for going on Purds, and because Jerry and her are in Chris's office, and I'm just like, okay, Chris, calm down. But I get it. And Chris says that she's been so unpredictable. I think that's a really good line because it really, like you said, kind of shows us that she feels so out of control with all the government nonsense that she has to do. And because of Ben and the fact that she can't like really, do anything about it. And this was the one thing that broke the camel's back, or straw that broke the camel's back, where she's just like, okay, I'm going to fucking do something. And
Yeah, I'm going to
'cause
focus
at
on
least
this
with
so I'm not
this-
focused on Ben.
Exactly. And at least with this, she can try to do something,
Right. Yeah.
I love that she says, she like calls the painting beautiful, and she's like, stand down, Jerry. This isn't your fight.
Oh, poor Jerry.
Yes. And, okay, so now we have, Chris calls a meeting with the Public Art Commission, and he says we're going to stand by
Yeah.
their decision no matter what they do with the painting. Leslie thinks it's in the bag because apparently they're all hippies that love art and weed.
Yes. What is it? I wrote down the acronym PACFWAASW, but I don't remember what they said. I don't know why I wrote that down if I
yeah.
wasn't going to write down what it.
Where was
It's
that
something
acronym?
like Pawnee Art Commission, who, and sometimes weed. I know that the last ASW is and sometimes weed.
Did she say an acronym?
No, I just wrote down what it would have been.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because it went so fast, and
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
pause it and rewind it, and I was already on the next note, and so I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yes. But this is at the Edward Phillips Senior Center, which is funny because I don't know why it's funny. It's just funny that it's at a senior center that this place is being held, or that this commission is being held.
Yeah.
Don't know who Edward Phillips is, but
The only thing I could find is there was an Edward Phillips guitarist, but then it's not like a really famous guitarist. It's just a dude who plays on YouTube. it looks like. And then there's also Edward Phillips, who was an actor who is known for Doctor Who, a movie called Assassin, and a movie called Poirot, Poirot.
Okay.
So it could be an actor. I don't know. I don't know if it was a nod to them or they just picked a random name.
All right. Well,
So
okay. So Tom makes a statement here, and it's really awful, and only goes against their case because obviously he wants the painting destroyed because he doesn't want to be known as the fat baby. And he says he's all for porn, and he has a well-hidden folder on his laptop for porn. So that's not really the discussion, but this thing is an abomination.
yes.
I think this is my favorite line, honestly. And it's funny that it's in the that it's a guest star that says it, but please let the record reflect that the fat baby is referring to the painting.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good line. I love that.
I think it's so funny. Because it's like said so seriously, and this is supposed to be a serious commission, and yet they're not even using his like actual name.
Right. It's just pissing him off more too.
I am not a fat baby. He's also not Taye Diggs, so sorry.
Yeah. I like this the background that Marsha Langman does where she's like when Leslie's talking, she goes, perverts, gay perverts, Europeans. Ugh.
Yes, about Greeks, Romans.
It's like, you're so
Europeans.
awful.
Oh, so dumb. So she must not, I guess she must not go to any museums that have like beautiful art sculptures and historical figures.
Or maybe she did, and that's why she's like, Europeans. Ugh.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
that's what I mean. Like, she doesn't like going to them. I'm like, okay, weird.
Yeah.
But that's your personal preference, ma'am. That is not what everyone else needs to do. Okay.
Right.
This head chairman that says that line about the fat baby, his name is Mark Coulson. He has been in Days of Our Lives, Justified, Bones, a bunch more. He's also a producer and a writer.
Very cool.
Yeah. So then Leslie, like you said, has this, makes a stand to the commission. It's like super impassioned and beautiful and citing facts. And Marsha is doing this background thing. And she's like, yeah, it's in the bag.
She's too confident.
Shoot it down. I know. She's so confident. And they just, they're like, there are nipples in it. So just to be safe, like, let's destroy it. But again, why can't it be placed somewhere else? Or why does it have to be destroyed?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
I'm sure one of them have an art gallery.
Yeah,
you know?
or somebody, like, I don't know. Just give it back to Jerry. I don't know. Like, whatever.
It's a really good point. It should just go back to Jerry. Hey, man, keep the painting. We don't want it in a government building.
Yeah, dude. Come on. It's not like, I mean, giving it back to Leslie, I agree, has some of some potential danger. She may or may not put it on a fucking billboard for all we know. Okay,
that's fair.
But Jerry's just gonna put it in his house and add it to his collection.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Now Ben is giving Andy and April a list of things they need and gives them an advance on the next month's rent. Have you learned nothing, sir?
Yeah, he has not.
Again,
he's learned nothing.
Again, to each their own. They're doing their own thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Ben has a date with Cindy Miller, which is why he can't do these tasks. And I do love this line as well of there's a 30% chance they'll both die.
Yes, I love that line. I think that's my favorite line.
Yeah, that was my second favorite. It's a great line.
Yeah. And they're going to Bed Bath & Beyond, which I don't know if you've been in a Bed Bath & Beyond recently, but those things are... It's a circle, first of all.
Dangerous.
It's one of the only stores that I feel like is built like a circle. And you walk around
IKEA does
it.
that too, I feel. It's so confusing.
Oh, yeah. But it's always so overwhelming for me in a Bed Bath & Beyond. So why send them there?
Yeah, I know. I do feel less... I feel more overwhelmed at an IKEA for some reason than... Or no. I feel less overwhelmed at Bed Bath & Beyond. I feel more overwhelmed at an IKEA.
Right.
I don't know why. IKEA just gives me such
IKEA
anxiety.
has more.
Yeah, and I just feel like the way that everything's layered, it's like the ones that I've been in, I don't know if they've changed it, but like you have to go one way, basically.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a circle. And so if I want to go back to something that I saw before, I like don't know how to get there. I don't know. It's weird.
We went there to buy some vases for the wedding. And I was there with my mom and Jaylee and her mom. And we realized this vase is too big. Let's go put it back. And I was like, I'll do it. And I was like, I shouldn't have done this by myself because I'm swimming upstream And I also did not realize how far back this was. Like, it's so big and there's so many different sections. I was like, this was a mistake. We should have just bought the vase and found a different use for it or something.
I'm like, where are we?
Yeah, I feel that. So I feel what you're saying, that it's more overwhelming at IKEA for sure.
But I'm glad that they did this at a Bed Bath & Beyond. I didn't find any information of where this was or if they just recreated it, but it looks like it's in a real one.
It looks like a real Bed Bath & Beyond. And they really do have all those as seen TV on TV
things. Yes, they do. It's so tempting. Everything, it really is. Everything's like so bright and colorful and so organized. Like, I mean, not organized. Well, it is organized, but it's also like it makes you feel organized when you buy those things. So it's like it's such a feel good place.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we get there, Leslie is talking to Marcia outside of the commission thing, and Leslie says, "Look, what we've been saying the whole time, basically, is that, like, I'll just take it, but we don't have to burn it or destroy it. Like, I'll just make sure that it's not ever in a place that people will see it. I just want it, please." She's like, "What do you say?" And then Marcia, again, this is what we talked about. She'll just stop at nothing. And she just doesn't give a shit. Like these people in our world currently, like, whatever.
Yeah. She wants to put footage of her burning it on her blog.
Oh, my God.
How rude.
No. That seems...
It's like a fuck you to Jerry is what it is.
Yeah. It's just, again, there's no compromise and no meet in the middle. But it's also, it is funny and satirical of how she says something so vile and then goes casually into asking about her parking ticket being validated.
Yeah.
To Leslie, the one that she's like
being a bitch
shitting
to?
on.
Yeah.
And Leslie's like, I don't fucking know. And she steals the painting and runs away. I am Diophena.
I love that. I love that so much.
Good. All right. So now we're back in Bed Bath & Beyond, if you're there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. We're seeing all the as seen on TV stuff. Andy's like, you think he's not going to say to get it? And he's like, get it all. Which is so great. And then we see Leslie coming to Andy and April's house because apparently this meeting was around the corner. And Ben answers the door. And she
surprised to see Ben.
There. She's very surprised to see Ben. She did not know that Ben took the spare room. And I love this. Again, it's so awkward and weird, but when Leslie says it's a nude, that look to camera that Ben gives is so fast and incredible. He like looks to camera really fast, like, okay. And then he looks up at the ceiling and tries to be interested in like literally anything else while she's taking the call with Chris.
I love that he peeks.
I love it too. Love that the camera crew caught it. Love this angling as well. This kind of like spy shot moment of like you can see the door frame in the camera frame too. So like they're kind of like trying to be sneaky catching this moment.
Right.
Chris is like so upset, yelling at Leslie. It's really terrible. Leslie's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then like you said, he peeks and it's really funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm back at Bed Bath & Beyond if you are.
Yes. And I'm really proud of Andy.
Me too.
Here are two people who find a compromise.
Yes.
He's like, we are not being adults right now, and we need to make Ben proud. He gave us this money. I'm sure there's a little bit of guilt there about making him pay way more than he should in rent. And he's like, no, but if you're crazy if you think I'm not also getting the marshmallow launcher. Like, so, which I think is a beautiful moment because they're trying to make the step up, but baby steps.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's a really nice way for them to kind of grow together, which is like the hallmark of, I feel, a healthy relationship where they can talk about this. And he also compliments her at the same time in their own special sauce way, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to me. And it kind of proves, not in a negative way, but it kind of proves their immaturity slash I guess, well, especially April's young mindset, because if you are an adult, the point of the matter is that you can have both. Yeah. Like you get to decide if you get to have that marshmallow shooter thing. You just have to budget or prioritize or whatever. Like you don't have to just be boring, and she is just so stuck in this like kids versus adults thing. And like kids versus authority thing. Yeah. And so I think it's really great that Andy is like inspiring her and showing her that there's like a way to have both.
Yeah. I think that's great too. Cause I think you put her in the shoes of the people she is around every day, Leslie, Ron, Jerry, Tom, she doesn't really like the things that they like. So I think she sees them as everything they're doing is boring.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's her vision of what her life is going to become as an adult.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. And so it's really nice to have this moment. I think it's really important. Love that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay. Now Leslie is asking Ben, what should she do? And it's so special, this moment, and it's so fast. I hate how fast it is. Again, it's this whole will they, won't they thing that just takes 100 ages to actually come to fruition, because she says she's so annoyed with all these rules, and he smiles and he's like, yeah, me too. And then Andy and April bust in at the worst
they stop
moment.
any special moment that was about to happen.
Moment killer. And then it's funny, Andy thinks the painting is on the blank side.
I like it. It's simple.
No, it's on the other side. I love this too. Andy is like, apart from taking advantage of Ben, Andy's being really cute and mature in this episode, where he says, like, I don't want to be inappropriate because you're my boss and my friend, but I would totally hit that.
Yeah.
I think that's like the best of both worlds.
It is. Yeah, there's the compromise again.
That could
So
be my
cute.
next favorite line too. That's such a beautiful line. I love it.
Very well written, for sure.
Yeah. And did you just say April said she would too? Did I miss you saying that or no?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. April's like,
Also
I would
great.
too. Oh, I was going to say too, this isn't really important, I guess, but it's just interesting that Andy is so different from Tom, the way that Tom reacts to it. And they're both technically employees of Leslie's. So
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really interesting dynamic of like characters.
Yeah. I have more respect for Andy than I do for Tom, if I'm honest.
100%. 100%. Tom just takes a long time to.
Well, I think he knows. I think he knows what he's doing too. And Andy is a little bit more. See, doesn't know all the social cues, so I have a little bit more
lenience, maybe.
Leniency for him for sure.
Yeah. Well, then we have the marshmallow gun that he shoots at Ben, because Ben's like, "Did you get everything? Does this answer your question?" That pause is crazy. No.
Yeah. It's so good.
And now, I did look up. I want to tell you, I looked up if the marshmallow shooter thing was real. It is technically, but there's not very many that I've seen. I don't know if it like died out. A lot of them are on eBay, what I was finding. So like, I don't know if they make them anymore, but that is a real thing if anyone wants to buy that.
That's cool.
So, okay. So now I'm at where Leslie's taking the painting to turn it in, and Jerry kind of like is there as well. And Jerry's like, well, that seems like something that I would do, not you, which is nice that he kind of, again, inspires Leslie to keep going and to keep kind of pushing. I don't know where she gets this idea, but she has this idea to recreate the painting. But we don't know that yet. Before that, Andy and Ben have this special moment, which is really cute. I think it's so precious. Andy's eating cereal from a bowl with a spoon with my own dish.
Yes.
Bringing his dishes to work.
Don't have to do that, though. I like that Ben's like, good for you. Doesn't it feel good? But, you probably shouldn't bring them to work.
Right. And Andy's like thinking that he's joking. Like, no, you should bring dishes to work. That's fine. Yeah. And I love this because, again, this like maturity thing is happening with Andy in this episode. The more I talk about it, because he's like asking not only point blank, but he also sensed that there was a weird vibe. So he asks Ben, like, what was going on, man? Like, what's the thing?
Yeah, he's
but
super
it's
in tune.
also, they do such a good job, I feel, of bringing him back. Every time he gets a little too mature, bring him back. Because he's like, I bet I can guess what happened. She stole money from you.
Yeah. Obviously.
Right. And Ben's like, no, I think we like each other. And I love how comforting Andy is of like, well done. That's a great choice. Leslie's super cool and super awesome. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. How special is that? Yeah,
he gives some great advice here. I think he's drawing on his April, because April and Andy didn't get together really fast after they started liking each other. There was some work that had to be done by both of them.
That's true.
So,
I mean, they
it's
just
funny.
got married in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say it's funny because we look at it and it's like their relationship happened like that. But if you time it from when April started having feelings for him, it was quite a bit of time.
Right.
So,
right.
I think he's kind of speaking from experience. Like, if it's meant to happen, it's going to be okay, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think Ben needs to hear that, because I don't think Leslie has Anne, but Ben doesn't have anyone, because Ben has Chris, and Chris is the one that's blocking all of it. So who is Ben even talking to about his feelings?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Andy was there.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So now I'm at where Leslie is coming up with this plan. Do you have anything to say before that, though?
I don't.
Okay. This plan that the camera work, by the way, is so good on. Like, they do this in the office frequently as well, where they like are showing one side, and then we zoom out and we reveal that there is more than what you saw originally. Mm-hmm. So they're showing only the version that Jerry allegedly painted over, or with Tom being the centaur. So we have one painting that is of her in the breasts and everything being shown, and then one is Tom. And Marcia agrees that it's fine, like now there's no nudity. And Leslie's like, I'm sure if you want to destroy it, fine, go ahead. But also there's still nipples.
Yeah. Fair point.
But it's not technically nudity, I suppose, because whatever. But yeah, so she's she has that line of like some goddesses or whatever, and some are tricksters.
Yes.
And she was a trickster.
No way Jerry did that in 24 hours or whatever.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. I mean, was it even 24 hours? That's the funny thing too.
No, I think it was like 12. I think he probably stayed up all night.
That's I don't think we can make that work in any way we try to describe it. But maybe, well, we can always make things work. I feel like we always try to make excuses for the show.
We do. It's our job.
Because
Here we go.
I feel like maybe he had some rough drafts.
He had a draft. That's where my brain was going. You're right. He had a draft, and all he had to draw was he had the nature draft, and later he made another one with Leslie and Tom. So this time he just had to add the Tom centaur and the Leslie baby. Yeah,
there you go. Cute. All right. So now we've got where nailed it. Chris asks how the date went with Cindy Miller to Ben. Reminder that Cindy Miller was the lady on the phone at the beginning of the episode. And Ben is like, not great. Like, it was just whatever. And Chris is like, well, you always like brunettes. And he's like, not exclusively. And
yes, exclusively.
What?
He's like, yes, exclusively.
Yeah, right. Like from the past, it has been. And I just love Leslie saying like, he didn't like her, so it's over. It's like,
yeah, get over it.
Stop it. Stop talking. I love this too. I don't know. They probably didn't mean to do it. Maybe I'm just looking so much into it, but it's just funny because I feel like Ben has lived this very straightforward. He does the same thing every day, has a goal, so he's going to do X, Y, and Z to get to that. No deter, no change, no nothing. Very like vanilla, if you will. Not in a bad way necessarily, but just like you don't try things.
Routine.
You're not.
Yeah,
routine. And very not like he's thinking of his life very linear and not like there can be multiple versions. And so I like that. At first, which is mirrored both in the job that he does with Pawnee of like, this is just the same as every other fucking town that I've been to. And it's also mirrored in his dating choices. Like, he does not have the same taste as he used to have. And I love that.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's really lovely. And then I also love that how like, it's super awkward with Chris and Ben. But again, the camera zooms in on Leslie while they're talking. I really love that. And Chris is like, well, Ben deserves like a really lovely woman, and Leslie's like a true goddess.
I love that line.
So fucking clever and smooth. Leslie's like killing it lately.
Oh yeah, her confidence is back, I think, and she just goes a goddess, and then walks out. I like the little that she does too. Like it's so good.
Yeah, she's like, I'm right. I know it. Side note, did you notice I saw that Leslie was taking the painting, like when Tom is staring at his version, Leslie was taking her version of the painting with her as the centaur into that little storeroom that we talked about the last episode?
No, I didn't notice that.
Oh my God. I think that's where it was. It just looked like it was next to her desk and the door was open and she was like taking the painting in there. Right before the tag. Also, I think it's funny that Tom is drinking champagne to like celebrate this like accomplishment ? That he is now
such a weirdo.
A centaur. No one else is drinking champagne. Did you notice that? It's just him.
Oh yeah, I noticed it was just him. Oh yeah. And then of course somebody's like, "Where's your penis?"
Yes, Andy says that. Or no,
Damn it,
April
Jerry.
says it. Andy says, "Is your penis between the front arms or the back, legs?" Yeah, where's your penis? Says April.
So funny.
Yeah, the whole damn it Jerry thing. And then the tag on Leslie talking on the phone to Gail, which is Jerry's wife, explaining there's nothing going on between them. I did not pose. I love that line too. I did not pose for the painting, but thank you for thinking I did.
Yes.
And then
love
Tom
it.
doing the same thing. It's so stupid. I'm so mad at him because he got what he fucking wanted, and then now he's making fun of Jerry for loving pound cake too.
Yeah.
He only has eyes for you, Gail, and pound cake. Am I right? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, shut up.
Yeah. He's like a kid, and it's like you're watching the adult continue to give him what he wants, and you're like, you're not changing his behavior if he's getting the same thing.
Yeah.
The thing that he wants when he's being a dick, you know? It's frustrating.
Yeah. But we'll see him grow soon. I do think he's just left unchecked, and he's a product of his environment. I think it's because eventually he does start to hang out with people that are and he has a goal at the end of it too.
He has
which,
some
has
forward
a
momentum
direction,
coming.
You know? Yeah. So that's really interesting. But again, we all take our time to learn and to grow and to develop. You know, it just is what it is.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, and Leslie's a good influence on him too.
Yeah.
I also noticed that Ron wasn't really in this episode, at all, apart from him making that speech.
Yeah,
and I didn't
not
really
a
see
lot.
a reason for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like Ron should have been called in during those meetings that Chris was having with Leslie, just to be there. But
was
maybe
he
he
in
was filming
Soulmates a lot too? I wonder if he was working on another project and he had a couple episodes where he had really short.
Maybe he was in Soulmates quite a bit because of the burger competition.
You're right. Never mind. Yeah.
But this one was weird.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll have to see next episode if he's been in some stuff. But either way, maybe he just wasn't written into it as much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
True. Well, I mean, Anne wasn't either.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was Jerry's painting. Lots to talk about. Thank you for listening. Again, if you haven't rated or reviewed, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, no less. And write a review on there. You don't have to write a review, but I would really appreciate hearing from you guys.
Some stars, yeah.
Yeah. And then if you're not following us on Instagram, it's Park Pals Podcast. We post some really cool things on there as far as trivia that is really interesting. I love hearing from people that, or not hearing, I like seeing people that I know watch the show, maybe get something wrong because it's not something that they've researched, of course.
Right.
Or something that I would have gotten wrong if I wasn't hosting this podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And last time I posted what was April's sister's name, and I got so many, I have so much fun coming up with wrong answers.
It's so fun to come up with the wrong answers.
So a lot of people didn't know that her name was Natalie. Not a lot, but quite a few. And it's also fun too because some people will that have been on the podcast will answer questions or sometimes message me. Shauna will sometimes message me after I post something, and she'll be like, "Oh, that was easy, and here's a little fact about that one thing." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I always
love
end up
her.
sharing it with you guys too. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So speaking of Natalie, that episode would have come out last week. So hope you guys enjoyed that as well. And if you haven't listened to it yet, please go do that because she's awesome and doing some really great things. And follow her on Instagram.
Beautiful.
Yay. Okay, well, we will see you next time and with some really fun, exciting things. I'm not going to say it, even though I kind of gave it away a little bit earlier today. So,
That's okay.
Yeah. Hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.